Hey, I want to talk to you about two things I really love: Egypt and cats. And I want to answer this question. Why did ancient Egyptians love cats? Also, why do I love this little idiot? Why is he so cute? What are you doing? The answer is more than just cuteness. He is very cute, but there are some other reasons. Well, there are so many misconceptions about ancient Egypt, and maybe you've heard one of these.
Did you know that slaves built the pyramids?
No, I heard it was aliens that built the pyramids.
Did you know that they used to worship cats? It's crazy.
The answers to these questions are no, and not really. To understand why ancient Egyptians really loved cats, we have to talk about Egypt. And I will draw Egypt. Now, my skills are not very, actually I'm very good. I'm very good at drawing. This is Egypt. And I don't know if you know what this is, but this is the Nile River. And this river is very, very important for Egypt. And I'll tell you why. It's because this place is actually a desert, and it's very hard to live here without water. Also, fun fact, this is called the Sahara Desert. Sahara in Arabic means desert. So you're actually saying desert when you say Sahara Desert. It's like saying ATM machine, automated teller machine, or PIN number, personal identification number. And if that's what you're doing, then cool, good for you, you know? We have a saying back home, and we say that Egypt is the gift of the Nile. Because, yeah, imagine you're in a desert, and then you find lots of good water. You're going to settle down, and you're going to stay here. Now, Egypt has a population of approximately 120 million people. Now, where do you think they live in this big country? They don't live, here and there and here and there. Everyone, almost everyone, lives here in this area, just around the Nile. And that leaves almost 90% of Egypt completely empty. I say all this just to illustrate how important the Nile River is to Egypt. And if you know anything about Egypt, you would know that it's a very, very old civilization, possibly the oldest civilization on Earth. And it was an agrarian civilization, meaning an agricultural civilization, a civilization that farmed. There is also another saying about Egypt, is that Egypt is the breadbasket of Europe, because Egypt used to export lots of food to the Greeks and Romans and everybody. So Egypt was a very, very important country because of farming. Now, the Nile did another cool thing. It would flood and it would bring soil with it, and this soil was rich in nutrients and things like this. And so that also helped Egypt, become the agricultural power it was back in the day. Another fact is that Egypt is very sunny, right? So it's a great place to grow wheat and some of these crops. So you see, all the conditions are really very good for farming, right? Another thing that is important is that because Egypt was so successful, they started building things, like pyramids and so on, because they had so much time to do these things. So it was a very prosperous society because of that. Now, I want you to think of that. What is the biggest problem a farmer would have when they have the sun, they have the soil, they have everything they need, right? But there is one big problem, and that problem is rats. That problem is rats and pests that would come and would eat all the food. Now, what do you do with these pests? You would try different things. You would try all different solutions, but they wouldn't work. But one solution worked. It's a very cute predator that eats these rats. It's cats. Cats eat rats and other pests, and they would help protect the farmland, right? And another important thing about cats is that they are carnivores. So they would eat the rats, but they would leave the wheat and the other things untouched because they don't want to eat it. They only want these rats. And that is the practical reason why ancient Egyptians loved cats. But there's also a religious reason. It's because in ancient Egypt, people had many, many gods. And sometimes these gods had animal symbols, like animal faces. For example, there's Sekhmet, and that is the goddess of war, and it had a face of a lioness. There is Bastet, which is a cat goddess of love or something like that, and it had a cat head. It's a human with a cat head. And there was also Anubis, which was a jackal, the head of a jackal or a dog kind of thing. And that's the god of the afterlife or death. So there were some practical reasons and there were also some religious reasons. And that really answers the question. So if someone ever tells you that ancient Egyptians used to worship cats, you can tell them, no, they didn't, but they really, really loved them. Look how cute. He's so cute.